And we were doing that primarily for DC public schools. But this is when I really, again, said, in fact, what I really want to do now is take the same basic model, transport it to Los Angeles, that is the largest concentration of older people living in poverty in America. And not unlike Los Angeles, San Diego, and all of California, the number of older people in this state is going to double in the next 15 years. Right now, 30% of all seniors in California rely exclusively on Social Security. That's it, right? But get this, less than 10% of eligible seniors access Meals on Wheels. So there's a waiting list now, but less than 10% use it. So what's coming, you can see a million miles away, is a need, but also potential customers. People who can be part of the economy of a new way of thinking about food. Because what's coming is a generation, rich or poor alike, who will be wildly aware of the role nutrition plays in the medicines they take and the lifestyle they want to lead. So again, what you're going to have is an army of old people who, unlike the current generation that are too prideful to ask for help, or would take pretty much whatever you gave them and said thank you, a new generation that's coming is going to look at a traditional meal that's served right now, and no disrespect to any of the senior meal producers, because many people are doing Herculean work, and in fact San Diego has some of the most amazing examples of innovation in food in America, interestingly enough. But throughout America, what you see is a preponderance of meals that are processed, and they fit nicely into the plastic plate that defines American food. They're going to look at that and say, are you trying to kill me? I can't eat that. I won't eat that. Not only that, they're going to take a picture of it and post it on Twitter saying, they're trying to kill me down here. Seriously though, think about this. As much as school food, think about this in the last 5 years, how much has our interest in school food built up momentum behind the local food movement? It has driven a huge amount. The baby boomers in the retirement can be the other side, the left flank of this new battle for healthy food. There's going to be millions and millions of older people who will want ethnically diverse, locally sourced, cooked from scratch, healthy meals. Now what's interesting, just so you know, Meals on Wheels for the most part in many communities contract for what they call the American menu. Now you know what that means pretty much. It's white people, middle class food. And in fact in LA, no disrespect, but the monthly burrito is their genuflection to ethnic diversity on their plate. But let's dig a little bit deeper. One of the things I love is false barriers, you know? And as an interesting metaphor, many of you all know or remember the album Kind of Blue by Miles Davis. And for you young people, that is one of the most romantic albums you're ever going to find. You put that thing, it's almost better than Barry White. But what's fascinating about that album is that up until that time, Charlie Parker was considered the virtuoso. Nobody could compete, you know, rhythmically and with the fluidity of Charlie Parker. Yet Charlie Parker was confined to the 12-bar blues structure. Miles Davis came along and said, 12-bar blues? Forget it. I don't even remotely, I have no interest in that. And he opened up an entire new form of music by just rejecting old structure. Similarly, what I'm interested in, because if you get down to the food system we look at, and what drives food in America is federal reimbursement. School food, hospital food, military food, prison food, senior food. All of it's driven by federal reimbursement, primarily through the USDA, but also through Department of Health and Human Services for seniors. Think about, what do all of those things have in common? The plastic plate. The compartmentalized plate that says, here's where the big piece of meat goes. The meat is the sun to our nutritional solar system. All of those plates, the big piece, that's where the meat goes, and that drives it. So suddenly, to me, the plate is like the 12-bar blues. Once you get rid of the plate, suddenly you're liberated. Because to get federal reimbursement, you have to have a certain amount of protein and nutrition, right? But if you want to go sustainable and healthy, and you want to move away from this old structure of, here's a processed piece of chicken, no disrespect to the chicken, you know, you in effect, if you can take away this form that says here's where the meat goes and introduce, and we're looking at kind of a bento box structure, not so much in the 6 compartments, although I'm fascinated by 6, but more in this idea of moving away from the idea of separates, meat, vegetable, starch, and the idea of blending. So the idea, you can actually say that there is, in effect, there is 3 ounces of protein here, it's just distributed evenly throughout the meal. This is where you can start to explore ethnic diversity, the same things you see in the food truck culture, of let's really vigorously explore food. and meet people where they're at, not being a nutritional imperialist, not coming in and trying to say to an older person who's very, very comfortable where they're at, give me the fruit cup. You know, no more fruit cup for you. This is, you want to meet people where they're at. Well, this is very serious, because I mean, again, you can come charging in, and this is, in the business world, the road to Damascus is littered with the skeletons of early adapters. You know, people who come in too early and try and force it, and they go broke, and 6 months later, somebody who's patient and respectful makes $1 billion. So I want to meet people where they're at and gently start to introduce new ideas. That's why, as we're in this pilot phase for LA Kitchen, while we're building our 20,000 square foot, 2-level processing hub, where we will chop, dice, and puree, and by the way, puree is the future. I'm so serious, man. Pureeing is where you get food and medicine. You know, this is where you say to the medical schools, what are the top 20 illnesses of the future? And what are the top 40 or 60 food combinations that we can put together that will actually either complement medical regimes or potentially even mitigate the need for them? There's a powerful opportunity for us to see food as medicine. So this is a powerful thing. So this idea where we can process a tractor trailer of tomatoes, that we can chop, dice, puree, make tomato sauce, freeze it, refrigerate it, serve it immediately. It gives us wild ability to not be slaves to time. Food, fruits and vegetables, as second as you pull it or pluck it, it's decaying. So the key is to do light processing and give the ability for us to, again, have time, but also to sell to UCLA that might have a new sustainable dining hall that wants its students to be excited about the fact that they're sourcing local, but also partnering with an innovative social enterprise that's employing men and women home from prison, paying a good wage, giving them a piece of the action in a profit-sharing plan, and reinvesting any profit over and over and over again. What we're talking about is the future of our economy. This is where mayors should be saying, how can I help you? You know, I'm glad we have a former mayor and a city council member here, because this is the economics, the difference between a Milton Friedman inspired business that takes money out of the community and never brings it back versus a business that's dedicated to reinvesting over and over and over again. And the kind of business that when you shop there, you lower the taxes, you increase revenue, you decrease the number of men and women going back to prison. All of these things that I've done historically, I'm open source. I'm happy to share. I've helped 60 cities open community kitchens. And we also launched a thing years ago called Campus Kitchens. It's the first generation of kitchens started to open and build, and kitchens can be expensive. It's $300 a square foot to build a kitchen. I was sitting with my parents in rural Indiana thinking about all of these kitchens I was helping to open, but how expensive they were, and thinking there's got to be another way. I love what's already here. And I had one of those eureka moments. And this is why I always talk, particularly to young people, about trying to see the world a little bit askew. Because suddenly I was sitting at a stoplight and it was like, there's a brand new high school. And there's a kitchen in there, and it's closed all afternoon, all night, and all weekend. And all those kids have to do community service, yet they have to leave school and go to the charity downtown, oftentimes reinforcing dopey stereotypes about poverty. That town's full of older people who need to be engaged. Imagine that big field out in back being an intergenerational garden. Imagine seniors coming up and doing intergenerational after-school programs, and both the kid and the senior getting a snack made by young men and women enrolled in an after-school cooking club, where, for people who struggle like I did, learning analytically, they might be able to learn math, or science, or history, or chemistry manipulatively through food. Imagine a working mom, and that's the face of hunger. Instead of saying, hurry, pick up your kids and make it to the pantry before it closes, getting a meal to go at school when she picks up her kid. This is the future, you know, and there's 60,000 school cafeterias, and whether it's a high school or middle school, a community college, or UCLA, where my good friend Lisa Joy works now, there's all those opportunities. So again, my thing is what's already here and how do we use it? But the key, in my opinion, is we have the customers. We have older people getting old, we have younger people who want it in school, and we have a consumer base that's hungry for this. We have social enterprises and businesses want to open. I think the key is going to be the contracts. It's government. It's mayors saying, in effect, how can I get social enterprises to open up and do these senior contracts, these school contracts, all of those kind of things. That's what I'm very interested in. And that's what I hope we can talk about. And I know the beginning phase of my jabbering is coming to an end, and we're going to open it up for questions and comments and thoughts. So thank you very, very much for this brief introduction to the world.